But the price we paid was this full-day ordeal. In the present, we make a lesser choice when we book the flight and we reap the effect months later when we have to take the trip. Is this making sense to everyone? Sometimes we do this same pattern with our faith. There is a false condition, an unhappy condition, a sad condition. There is an appearance of lack or limitation or conflict that shows up in our life. And then we react from that fear, from that lack, as if it is the truth of our being when it is not. In Lessons in Truth, which is Emily Cady's basic textbook of what we teach in this church, Lessons in Truth, she says, when this false condition shows up, our goal, our work, our calling is to repeatedly, persistently deny every false and unhappy condition that shows up in our life, that it has power over us. Yes, there are situations that show up. Yes, there is conflict that show up. Yes, there are diagnoses that are communicated to us. The power we have is to deny it has power over my response today. The difference between a reaction and a response in our life, want to see it? It's one breath. How many times have the words shot out of our mouth, and as we're hearing ourselves very saying, no, they were not the highest words we could have shared in that moment? How many times have we hung up on a phone call to prove a point, when all it did was disconnect communication, and the only point we proved is that, we weren't willing to stand in the fire in that moment? How many times have we walked out of a situation only to find out we chose door number 3 and that same situation was waiting for us a week, a month, a year later with a new face on it? Each moment, we can deny lesser fear-based ideas. Every decision in our mind is a metaphorical step we take, and we either step with our faith or we step with our fear. Every step, every decision, every thought is a step in love, in health, in power, in joy, or not. But it is the main step that we take in our mind that chooses the flight that we book, the life that we live. And every one of us here, we are a vessel. We are a vessel filled with some unique, God-ordained small ideas. Don't book any more cheap thoughts for your tomorrow. To let go of all sense of failure and to heal any rigid grasp that we have on how a situation must turn out in our life. This week I was reading an article and I read something that said people are deathly afraid of failure. And that was a quote. People are deathly afraid of failing. That people many times see a mistake, making a mistake, possibly making a mistake, as their worst possible enemy. But let me share something with you that Peter Drucker says. He says he will never promote someone to a chief executive officer who has not made hundreds of mistakes. You know why? Because if someone's never made a mistake, they've never lived, they've never risked something, they've never taken a chance. It is through mistakes that the intelligence of God shows up in our life. The real enemy is not a mistake, my brothers and sisters. The real enemy is when we don't even try. If we seek a great life today, it's true. The real enemy is that voice in our very head that stops us from trying. If we seek a great life today, listen, you seek greatness in something in your life, the goal is not to avoid a mistake. Avoiding mistakes is not on the greatness job description. Because every mistake, every disappointment, when responded to responded to spiritually leads to some of the greatest successes history has seen. You see, in all things, faith gives us the opportunity to walk the next step, to walk the next step with a higher idea. And I tell you that because we forget this sometimes, because we lose sight that mistakes are our greatness emerging in our life, because we forget this. I realized, there's no traffic jam on that road that goes the extra mile. Because the people who choose to go the extra mile are willing to let go of any attachment about the outcome and be the best that they are in the step they take right now. And why would anyone choose this? No one consciously does. I think it's because we walk in our fear unconsciously.